Wednesday afternoon, and that means it's time for Helping Seniors of Brevard. And hosting the show, as always, is our Executive Director of Helping Seniors of Brevard, Kerry Fink. Good afternoon, Kerry.
Hey, John Harper. Thank you. It's always such a pleasure. It's the time of the week we always get together and get around the radio here at 90.3 FM, WEJF, and share our lunch hour as we talk about all things seniors. And thank you if you're tuning in online at WEJF.net. And for those of you that catch this as podcast later, welcome in. You're going to enjoy the conversation we're going to have today because we will have one of our really great longtime friends of the Helping Seniors organization, Dr. Lee Sheldon, who's noted area periodontist. He is the founder of Solid Bite Dental, Dr. Sheldon Furtado. He is renowned worldwide. In fact, he gets called out to speak at national conferences, both on advances in dental care and dental technology. But he actually has also headed up an organization that helps other dental practices maximize their own service in their communities. And he is a great person who has helped the work of helping seniors since our founder, Joe Steckler, started us off back in 2011. In fact, was helping Joe back in Brevard Alzheimer's days. And so with that introduction, Dr. Sheldon, good morning.
Hey, good morning to you, or good afternoon, depending upon what we're saying right now, Kerry. So how's everything going?
It is good, and it is exciting. And the topic that we are going to talk about today is how everything just keeps growing along over time. You know, on our end, talking about the Helping Seniors, 100% local to Brevard charity, when Joe established this, he'd already successfully built up the Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation, which serves folks with excellence to this day here in the county. They call them Joe's Clubs, the three adult daycare centers in this community. And when I met him, which was as he was getting this off the ground, and he was saying, Kerry, there's more work to be done for seniors. And that was 15 years ago. And let me tell you, there is more work to be done for seniors 15 years later. But the same is true in your practice, simply because the population and the demographics, and you guys are getting ready to expand as well. And we're going to spend a little bit of time on this show to just talk about all this growth, Dr. Sheldon.
Yeah, it's scary. It is it's something that I am now peripherally a part of rather than being centrally a part of. But yes, we're in a brand new office, a brand new state-of-the-art, huge office, big ceilings, lots of rooms. We don't bang into each other anymore. It's a totally different experience, and we've been there for a total of 1 week. So we're finding our way through what is a fabulous facility, fabulous office, and we've added a new dentist, and she starts today. So this is and not only is she a dentist, she's an experienced dentist. She's trained as a prosthodontist in Brazil. She's been here for a number of years, and we are just so happy to have Dr. Vladia Coelho with us as she handles this the expansion. So it's going to be quite an experience for all of us.
You know, I was going to say, every time things are expanding, there's always going to be some sort of growing pains or things. But I always say, if you do the same thing you've always done, you're always going to get the same thing you've always done. And again, we talk about this when Joe established Helping Seniors. This county, I was just giving a talk on Sunday to a wonderful group that they have over at Calvary Chapel, which is a large church here in West Melbourne. And we were talking about all the things and the work that we do in the Helping Seniors organization. And we were going over the 7 pillars of aging plan and all those different things that we so often try to communicate and explain and help families and seniors navigate effectively, kind of as Joe had set us up. But the point that I was really after is, like, again, 15 years ago, the demographics have remained stable. We're still like 1 out of 4 of us is over the age of 65, and 1 out of 2 of us is over the age of 50, which is the AARP mandated age when they send you that membership card. But the point is, there are now so many more people here in Florida that we're all struggling to keep up. I mean, we live in Palm Bay, and we used to joke about Palm Bay being like in the country part of Brevard County, because back 30 years ago it really was. And now, of course, it's a city that's now starting to experience traffic and things like that, and that just seems to be the way it goes. And if we don't expand and we don't prepare for the future, then we're not prepared to meet it, Dr. Sheldon.
That's true. You either go up or you go down. You do not stay the same. So you're right. We have to prepare for the future. It's interesting because in our own practice, we had, Ellen and I had taken 2 separate trips to visit an architect in Austin, Texas, and he and his wife, who's an interior designer, came to visit us once. So we were very serious about expanding. And then the city looked at the architectural plans, and there was something wrong, and it was a 2-week break. And I was 65 years old by this point. In fact, I was 67 by this point.
Wow.
And with that 2-week break, Eleanor said, "Do you really want to do this? Do you understand how much more work is going to be?" And I said, "No. We're going to expand the property right where we were on Sarno Road." And I said no. And so that gave us the opportunity to kind of step back a little bit. The kids took over the practice, as you know, over 5 years ago, and the kids meeting Dr. Michelle Furtado and Dr. Matt Sheldon, one of whom is who is our kid. And then they said, "Well, we can't practice here for our entire lives. This office was built just for me. It was just built for one dentist, and we had 3 dentists working there for 10 years." And so they made the plans. They decided exactly what they were going to do. They built a fabulous facility. It's a little bit west of where we are right now on O'Galley Boulevard. And it's in an office professional park, lots of space. We've gone from 2,000, I think, to 6,000 square feet or something like that.
Wow.
And everybody's breathing. As I said, we're not bumping into each other 24/7. So it's a great facility. But yes, it was. We have to make these plans. These doctors are very, very talented doctors. And as you know, we're seeing the worst of the worst in our office. And the more people you have, the more worst of the worst you have. But, even with that, Kerry, I take pride in the fact that people who need very little also come to see us. And it's a thrill when I can say, "Hey, you don't really need this, so let's just get a cleaning and let's just move on with it." So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a big change for me. Obviously, there's emotion attached to this because I started this practice. My wife and I started this practice on October 16th, 1980, and we practiced in pretty much the same facility for 45 years. So. Lots of emotion attached to leaving the old place, and lots of emotion to seeing what this place has become. So lots of fun, lots of interest.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible when you look back at all the good that you guys have accomplished. That's really been a fixture there on Sarno Road. We would always drive down the road and see you had that beautiful sign up there that would always talk about, getting a perfect smile and things like that. And yet at the same time, you guys are so adept at helping people navigate to the best solution that seems to be, whether it's, somebody's really looking for that high end, I want the perfect smile, and they're willing to and have the ability to do everything that's necessary. And yet, as a periodontist, you're also committed to saving teeth. We've done so many shows together where we've talked about the importance of what a dental implant can mean, but we've also done shows where we've talked about the importance of trying to keep natural teeth. And so it's really been a very interesting balance that you've talked about along the way. In fact, I remember Dr. Matt Sheldon He did a show about cosmetic dentistry. It's a TV show that actually you can go back and view on our Helping Seniors television channel, which is on YouTube, Helping Seniors TV. We also air 4 times a day on Space Coast Government TV. But for sure, you can go back and look up, search out on the YouTube channel or on our website, Helping Seniors of Brevard. It's called Cosmetic Dentistry. And Dr. Matt Sheldon, your son, who was also honored as being at the time, one of the top 40 under 40 dentists in America. And he talked about how affordable some of those things could be. But my point that I'm trying to come back to is actually that you really have developed a reputation over the years for being able to handle everything from the most high-end, most complex kind of, I want the smile to be 100% perfect, but also to simply helping people organize whatever is going to make the best path for them given their situation.
Yeah, that is the thrill for me, particularly in this day and age when we're talking about this more and more professionally, not just within the practice, but also in some of the writing I've done and some of the lectures that I give. And that has to do with dentistry being provided as a service versus dentistry being sold. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, there's an awful lot of selling in our profession going on right now. And it's nice that, or at least the principles that we've always had and that we continue to maintain is we come in and we talk to you about different options, not that we're selling things. We talked about it. In fact, we talked about this a little bit last month about the want-tos and the have-tos. And the have-tos have to do with infection. The want-tos have to do with ability to chew and ability to bite. And we were confusing those. I don't want to repeat last month's show. But at the same time, I want patients to come into the office, and patients come in scared. They're not scared of me. They're not scared of dentistry. They're scared of being told that they need something they may not need. And so I want that opportunity for conversation. And so does everybody in that practice. Conversation as to what really needs to be done and what can be done so the person can differentiate that. And that's what is the hallmark of our practice and always has been. It's what can I do? And we do an awful lot of big cases, but we're not going to force you to do big cases. We're going to give you the options depending about what you want, what you need, and what you can afford. And then we take it from there. And that is going to be, besides the big, beautiful building, besides the fabulous staff, and there's no better staff in dentistry anywhere. Our Google reviews, half of them have to do with the doctors, and half of them have to do with the staff, that they've never been treated this way. So, yes, our intention is, and we will maintain the same experience. It's just going to be in a building where you've got room to breathe, and and that's what that's what we'll always do in this practice, no matter how long I'm around doing it or not. And right now, I'm still enjoying myself, and I'm still having a good 2 days a week in the office. And today is not my work day, but every Tuesday at 4 p.m. is a meeting among the 4 doctors so we can discuss cases together. And what an opportunity for us. What an opportunity for the patient, where you've got 4 different people talking about your case in order to be able to make sure that we can do the very best for you.
You know, we were talking about that along the way, that one of the key things I remember a TV show, I think you may have done this one with Joe. It was called The Value of a Second Opinion. And what you were really getting into in that particular TV program was you were sharing that, you know, there is significant value. We often forget that we are the customer when we go to, whether it's a dental practice or a medical practice or almost anything that we're choosing to do. We may not understand all the questions that we should be asking, but it's important to make sure that we get to a comfort level with what's being proposed. And I was thinking, like, what you almost have that second opinion thing going on in your own office, because I'm sure if one dentist says, well, you know, we had this case, blah, 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 then you have 4 really brilliant minds coming together, say, yep, that's the right thing. Or, hey, somebody might go, did you consider this?
Exactly right, and that is so important. In addition, it's been 10 years since I've done surgery seriously, and so if we're talking about a surgical procedure, hey, how are you going to do this? And I'm going to talk with Michelle. I'm going to say, how are you going to do that? We had a complex case that walked in a couple of weeks ago, who he had broken his jaw like 30 or 40 years ago, and it was never set properly.
Oh goodness!
And now we have to decide how are we going to restore him with the jaws not even lining up properly. Well, if you don't think that, if you think I'm going to think that through all by myself, I can do most of it. But boy, the group of us talking together, how are we going to get the bite right? How are we going to line things up? What are the steps that we're going to take diagnostically before we ever put anything in the patient's mouth? And it was an interesting discussion as to how we do that and what we're going to do. And yes, there are defined steps. There's always defined steps. The idea is to make sure that we do all the thinking first. So by the time we get to the doing, there are not so many decisions to be made.
Yeah, makes all the sense in the world. Reaching back to the beginnings of the dental practice, I've known you basically since I met Joe, and he was getting everything with helping seniors off the ground. But I do remember that even then, one of the very first things that you impressed upon me was that you were really committed to always staying on top of whatever kind of technologies are going to make things better, more cost effective, more helpful, less intrusive. And, we've had shows where we've talked about things like the perioscope, and you were like one of the first dental offices to make sure that you had CT scans in. In fact, we talk about this a lot because it benefits us as helping seniors. We're a nonprofit, and we always say we can only assist as far as people help us to assist the seniors that we set out to serve. And so everything becomes a great opportunity to do fundraising for helping seniors. And you came up with a brilliant way in the community to do that called Solid Bite Gives Back. But it was really very well thought out, because not only does it help a charity like us, it really helps the patient because it's a cost-effective way to figure out what's going on. But it also helps you as the medical professionals make sure that you're pointing us in the right direction. Talk about that program for just a second.
Yeah, I mean, originally the conception was there were so many new diagnostic things that we wanted and needed in order to be able to treat and plan the patient correctly. And a CT scan, to me, is essential. It allows us to see infections in a way, not just in a way, it allows us to see infections that we can't see any other way, and that is protective for the patient. But, it was, at that time, $300 for a CT scan. Well, I can't do that. I mean, did it for a while, but then the patient comes in, okay, it costs this amount for the examination. Now you need a CT scan. It's going to cost $300. That's no good. I'm not going to change my diagnostics. So instead, I followed the lead of maybe it was my own lead. Maybe I saw a little bit of it someplace else. But I said, no, minimal fee for examination. Okay, we'll charge plenty of money when we do the work. But when we're talking about the examination, everybody deserves to have a full examination with every diagnostic tool that I need in order to be able to identify particularly these infections. So we decided, all right, you need the full mouth x-rays, you need the CT scan, you need a comprehensive evaluation with me. At that time, I was the only one who was doing the examinations. And I want to have the time to do it and do it properly, but I'm not going to give you a $600 or $700 bill to do that. So we decided with Solid Bite Gives Back, give $50 or more to helping seniors of Brevard, and you get the full examination, CT scan, discussion, the different options that we have, all for that fee or that donation to helping seniors of Brevard. And with that, we began a $300,000 campaign. It was a decision was made many years ago, and I don't know if we fit 3,000 If we're not at $300,000 now, and by the way, we do it in conjunction with other charities as well. But the $300,000 isn't as important as patients coming in and having the opportunity for a good comprehensive evaluation. And what we love is when a patient leaves the office saying, I never had an examination like that before. That's what I want. And that's what patients deserve. And that's how we've been able to maintain and grow this practice and move into this big, beautiful new facility on West O'Galley Boulevard.
You know, I was smiling as you were saying that, because really that's a win-win-win. It's a win for the charity that is the beneficiary, but it's a win for the patient because they're really getting an accurate and complete reading of what's going on. And it's a win for you because you're able to make the most effective care plan so that the person can consider what needs to be done to make this all right. And I was thinking about this. So as you go back all the way back to 1980, and I'm smiling because it was like, you know, in the old days, I guess they called it a mom and pop, you know, whenever you talk about a business that's just kind of getting off the ground, and you talk about the fact that you were a one operatory office, or as we would say, the grand old operatory office, right? And talk about, like, I mean, it must be amazing when you sit at this side and you see the level of expansion and how the technology has expanded. It must be amazing to you to see what started from maybe those very early beginnings.
It is. I mean, the early beginnings is I didn't have any money. You know, my wife and I had worked. We had gone to school for a number of years, and but you do what you need to do in order to be able to get things established. So one operatory means one treatment room, one room for everything, one room for examinations. We actually had a bridge chair and another room for x-rays. So we used the second room for x-rays only. And that's how we...
Well, we could take a moment and go for a half-show break, and definitely we want to know what's going on with the weather and everything connected to all of that.
And that music indicates it's time to get back to the second half of today's Helping Seniors of Brevard program. I'm John Harper, and let's turn it over now to the host of the program and the executive director of Helping Seniors of Brevard. Here is none other than Kerry Fink and his special guest, our good friend, Dr. Lee Sheldon. Kerry?
Well, thank you, John Harper. It's always good to be back for the radio show every Wednesday right here on 90.3 FM. And if you are listening on the radio, welcome back at 90.3 FM WEJF. If you're listening online, WEJF.net. We also appreciate you and welcome back. And if you're continuing on with the podcast, thank you, because you can always pick up these podcasts wherever you get podcasts, Apple, iTunes, you name it, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you find your podcast, you can find Helping Seniors Radio. And we find a lot of people will hear a program like what we're doing today, where we're talking with noted area periodontist Dr. Lee Sheldon, who is the founding father of Solid Bite Dental, Doctors Sheldon and Furtado, who is now, they are literally just getting rolling in a huge expanded facility right there on West O'Galley Boulevard after literally being right there on Sarno Road since 1980. And it's exciting to talk about the fact that we've gone from Dr. Sheldon, what you have described yourself as a comfortable old shoe, to now a state-of-the-art like expansive, like just a technologically advanced location that's going to serve folks in Brevard for decades to come.
It's interesting because we had we've always had the technology. I've always, as you mentioned earlier in the show, that we tried to be first in everything, and we were able to accomplish that. But now we've got a facility that matches the technology that we've put into the office. I don't know if I told you last time, but Dr. Furtado has, as of last month, or maybe even July, he started a dental laboratory here in Brevard County in Melbourne. And so now we've got our own laboratory facility. We always had our laboratory technicians, when we were using other facilities, we always had our laboratory technicians come into the office for the major cases. But now to own our own facility, it's just one more service where we're totally in control of what is going on, and it's not at West O'Galley Boulevard. It's close to the Melbourne Airport, but it's just one more wrinkle, one more thing where we can say, yeah, we've got this too.
Yeah, well, it's incredible. But, one of the things that I wanted to point out, because you've got an article coming out about the new facility, everything that's going to be, well, I'm sure people will see it everywhere, but for sure, we're going to be talking about it in Helping Seniors News, which is that center section publication that we do every month in the center section of the popular Senior Scene magazine. They do something like 8,000 to 12,000 copies every month. You can pick them up at 500 plus locations around the county. And we have adopted the center section to try to provide information that will help seniors and their families navigate towards good solutions. And one of the things that you pointed out in the article was that even though the building is fantastic and amazing, it's probably just part of it. It's really about the people.
It is. I got to tell you, when we opened last Tuesday, so that was Tuesday after Labor Day, and we met at the front desk area, and 4 of our staff members gave prayers.
Wow.
Thanking God and thanking each other for being mutually supportive, for knowing they can do the right thing for the patient, where they can communicate well, where they feel that they're putting their best foot forward. And, they asked me to say something. I couldn't. It was so beautiful what they did. So, this is a practice it's special. We don't keep staff members for such a long period of time if they're not finding it comfortable, and if not finding it a home where they feel comfortable, as well. So I know I'm speaking for the doctors, that we're proud of who we are, who we've become, and the staff members that we've attracted to make sure that they're supported. It's interesting that I can give you just a simple example, and that is, Kerry, that when hygienists and when assistants graduate, they're told they cannot diagnose. They're not allowed to diagnose. And I said, you better know how to diagnose, which essentially means you can have that conversation with the patient. You can have that conversation with me in front of the patient, knowing that, in fact, you can talk. You've got the opportunity of talking. Now, is the final decision going to be made by the doctor? Of course. But unless the assistant is comfortable talking about what she sees, how's she going to learn? And I, as you know, we've been consultants for a number of years, and when we have doctors come into the office to see what's going on, they're just amazed by what our assistants know and what they can say with the patient. So yes, it's a beautiful facility, but it is the people with us and the devotion of those people that make the real difference in the practice.
It's funny, as you were talking about that, I was remembering a book that really was, I want to say this was probably back in the 80s. So it's been a minute, but it was Alvin Toffler, I think, wrote it, and he was talking about what they call future shock. And
Sure.
Yeah. And I think that if I'm quoting correctly, basically the premise was that as things became increasingly high tech, meaning that just the advances in what, different tools can do diagnostically or even medically, there was a real focus on the fact that it's going to be very important to have what he called high touch. And I was thinking about that one of the key things that I guess you guys have always talked about is making people feel comfortable, because none of us really likes the thought of having to go to the dentist. We always are fearful of the pain, the expense, the bother, and the intimidation, because we don't really know what we're getting ourselves into. And you guys really have developed such a way of balancing both of those things, the high tech and the high touch.
Well, thank you. And it is with intention, but even if it is with intention, you've got to have the ability to do that. And that's what Michelle and Matthew bring to the practice. They have the ability to talk and to communicate and make people feel comfortable. Yes, sedation is great, and we have the opportunity of putting patients to sleep, and that's good. But that's not the whole thing. Most of our patients are treated awake, and we want our patients to say, "Yeah, I want to come back." It's a thrill when you look at the Google reviews and you see people who say, "I was always afraid of the dentist, and I'm not afraid of the dentist anymore." Wow, that's a big deal. I'm 75 years old. This is my legacy, and to have that kind of and to be able to still participate in the practice at this age, and to be able to see what it's become and who the people are that we attract, both patients and staff members, just a thrill. And I think it is that high level of touch. Well, we have the technology, and we're committed to doing that. But to be able to converse, communicate, offer options, and to make you feel comfortable and make you comfortable in being able to talk with us and express what you need to express. That's the full package, and I love seeing it.
No, it's great. I was thinking also as we're talking about this, a lot of times when we go to a museum, that's located in a historical place, it's interesting to look back in time and say, oh, this is how they did things. Maybe it's a farming museum and you see how they did agriculture in the 1800s or something. And I'm sure it's always interesting to see museums and kind of learn, like, look how far we've come. But I think the real thing that's amazing is that you've chosen to be sure that this isn't a museum of dentistry. This is the future of dentistry as you move this whole thing forward. And I wanted to just kind of maybe ask you to kind of like put a bow around it and talk a little bit about, you've always been committed to trying to kind of excel at everything that you guys do and kind of set a standard for other practices to follow. What do you see as it keeps getting better and better for patients?
Well, I can tell you that AI is going to be a big part of what's happening in the future. And it means that AI is going to give us opportunities of seeing things in the literature that we need, and it's right at our hand. And there are times, because as you know, we see complex cases, and I love to be able to just look something up real fast, and I can. But that's going to go more for diagnostics. We've already put an AI system in which detects tooth decay on the x-rays.
Wow.
So we're moving in. You're not surprised, are you?
No.
No. And so we're going to see more and more of that. But that doesn't mean that there aren't thinking skills that are associated with that, so we can ask AI to do what we need to do. AI is only good as what we can provide for it, but I do see that. But some of the automated features that we have that are available already is, for example, when I'm dictating notes right now, I'm dictating notes into AI, and AI is now putting them into probably better grammar, better punctuation, and maybe it sounds a little bit better when it comes out than when it went in. And we put that in right away. But there's something better. I don't think I'll ever use it because I like doing it the way I do. But you can take an iPad, you can leave it in the dental treatment room, in the operatory. You turn on the iPad, you record the entire conversation of what's occurring over the 2 hours the patient is there. The software goes through 4 different AIs and comes up with a summary treatment plan, a letter to the referring dentist, and whatever else you want, just by deciphering what occurred in the conversation between the patient, the assistants, and the doctor. So that's just an inkling of where it's going. I'm sure there are a lot of things that 5 years from now I'll look at it and say, wow, I never knew that we'd be able to do that. Someday we won't be doing dental implants. Someday we'll be implanting tooth buds and let the tooth grow in the jawbone. Wow. It's not here yet, and it's not quite close enough, but someday it's going to happen.
It's really incredible when you think about it. I remember thinking about my grandfather growing up at a time, because he was born in 1893, so he was old enough to remember Orville and Wilbur Wright taking that first flight. And then he lived long enough in his life that he was able to fly a 747 to New Zealand. And I always used to think, what an amazing journey that had to be, from watching the very first airplane get off the ground to being able to go, I can fly literally halfway around the world in the lap of luxury. And, but the same thing is true when you think about where we are with technology and the advances that we have today. We grew up with the embryonic mainframes that used to take up a city block, and now we walk around with that same computing power and then some in our little smartphones. It's really fantastic, and it's great that you are always being sure to apply whatever advances are going to be beneficial into the dental practice too.
I think it's true. And what I think of when we're talking about that is, and you're seeing it, and you're going to see it more and more over the next few years, is that we are going to better harness the patient's ability to heal. We're going to be moving from the interventional type of practice, whether it's by medicine or surgery or dentistry or whatever it is, into harnessing the patient's own ability to heal, so there's less need for us to do what we're doing. You're already seeing it with some of the things that are coming up, even from our Surgeon General. I don't think we've given the body enough credit. I think we've said we need to intervene here, we need to intervene there. But even in our own practice, and we've talked about this in the past, where people said, well, there's nothing we can do here. And I looked at it and say, of course we can do something here. We do this, this, and this, and the body is going to heal, and we're going to be able to save these teeth. I think we're going to see more and more of that. And that's why I love being able to still practice in this in this environment, because everybody's dedicated towards the same thing. Yes, the ability to be able to restore and restore properly has certain principles, and you've got to do it right. Mm-hmm. But you don't do that until you've given the patient the opportunity to heal. And some patients can, and some patients can't. And we just have to know who it is that can and who it is that can't, and give the patient the opportunity before we decide to intervene. That's going to be that is the principle of our practice, is the way it's been, and that's the way it's going to continue. And if we can help the body heal more with some of the items, diagnostic items, and even treatment items that we have, and we can assist the body in healing, it's going to be less expensive for the patient, with a better outcome, more comfort, and better ability to chew and smile. So what could be bad about that?
Yeah, to kind of like maybe sum up a little bit, it's so funny because when I was giving the talk at Cavalry Chapel for this group of a couple of hundred seniors that meets there on the Sunday afternoon, it's basically a big potluck, and they're inviting the community to come in. It's really a wonderful group. It's a lot of good fellowship and a lot of good people, but they're always trying to include something that adds value to it. And so they had invited me to share, and I said, this is really an exciting time. I said, one of the reasons we have so many seniors in Brevard is people are just flat living longer. More people are turning 65, more people are moving to Florida. But really, the other part that we don't talk about enough is people are just living a long time. It wasn't that long ago. We were talking about Willard Scott would stop down on a national news show presented by Smucker's Jam and talk about the two people across the country who turned 100 on that particular day and celebrate them. Now, if you talk to anybody that's in senior care here in Brevard, they'll say, oh, yeah, there's Miss So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so over here. They're 104 and they're going strong. So you can imagine that this benefit of the technology, the AI, and skilled interpretation of what that means is really a good thing as we all roll forward in our senior years, I think.
Yeah, I think it is being able to harness better the patient's opportunities, and you're right. after we get through this glitch, and right now, what we're talking about now is we have more chronic degenerative disease in this country than we ever had before. After we get through this, and we will, then we're going to see more and more people live longer and longer. And it isn't just living longer and longer. I think the key element of what is what you said, going strong, and that's what we want. We want life going strong.
That's good. That's good. I like that. We should adopt that, Dr. Sheldon, in the helping seniors world. Life going strong. I'm writing that down. So listen, thank you for sharing before, but I wanted to save a couple of minutes to talk about the car raffle. That's our big fundraiser, speaking about going strong. But I wanted to make sure that we kind of made sure that if people wanted to hear about the Solid Bite Gives Back program, which is in effect benefiting you, the person who might take advantage of it, certainly giving the doctor great insight, but also a great benefit to the work of helping seniors. How do people follow up on that?
Yeah, just call the office, 321-259-8000, saying you want the complete examination and with helping seniors, and that's all you'll need to do. Any staff member who answers the phone knows exactly what to do from there so that you can come in, write a check, or charge something to helping seniors in Brevard, and you'll get the examination, including all x-ray, CT scan at no charge.
Oh, it's wonderful. Wonderful. So thank you, Dr. Sheldon. We're going to, and please stick around because we're going to talk about, there is so much stuff going on in the helping seniors world right now. We are in the peak season for the Helping Seniors Car Raffle because somebody on October 26th, Sunday afternoon, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. out of the American Muscle Car Museum, because Mark Pylock has kindly invited us back. We're going to have such a big time with the grand drawing, and we're going to find out somebody, might as well be you, is going to go home with keys to a brand new car, one of 7 new cars that you can choose from in the 9th annual Helping Seniors Car Raffle. There's everything in there from a Chevrolet Colorado. It's a car from one car that represents each of AJ Hire's amazing dealerships here in Brevard County. But you could choose the Chevrolet Colorado, just like our winner Jim Newman from Cocoa did last year, or the Mitsubishi Outlander, which is what our winner Diane Pelak chose the year before. But there's many great choices. There's a Jeep Compass if you're kind of outdoorsy. There's a racy little Dodge Hornet, which is fun to come off the line with. There's a really stylish little, you would look so cool putting on your little beanie cap and tooling down A1A and your Mazda Miata convertible. There's so many great choices, and somebody is going to get a new car on Sunday, October 26th. It might as well be you, and you do that by getting your ticket for the Helping Seniors Car Raffle. And how do you do that? One ticket is a $25 donation. 5 is a $100 donation. You can call our office right now at 321-473-7770, 321-473-7770. That, by the way, is also the Senior Information Helpline. So if you have a question or need some help, that's what we're here to do. We're here to serve you. But we're also here to serve you your Helping Seniors Car Raffle tickets. And Karen, or one of our great volunteers, will be happy to help you organize that. You can also go directly online to helpingseniors.carraffle.com, helpingseniors.carraffle.com, and pick up your tickets that way. You can also pop by any of the Boniface Hires car dealerships. They have a beautiful Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Chrysler store up in Cocoa. They've got a Mazda store, Kia store, Mitsubishi store, Chevrolet store, everything right here in Melbourne as well. So wherever you go, you can get your tickets there. And Dr. Sheldon, you guys, I hope I'm saying this, we'll make sure they are by this afternoon. We'll make sure that we have tickets over there at your office. People can drop by a Solid Bite and check out the new facility and get your tickets there, Dr. Sheldon. And on top of that, we've got a couple of car shows that are coming up that I want to also share. Thursday afternoon, we're going to be out at the Friendly's Car Show, which is starting back. That's that fun show right there, Friendly's, Indian Harbor Beach, Beachside. 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Thursday. We're going to be out there with that Mitsubishi Outlander, one of the 7 cars you could pick from. We're also going to be out at Brookdale Assisted Living on Friday morning, 10 to 1, and we'll be out there with a car. But so there's plenty of chances. And then over the weekend, you can find us literally all over the county as we're in this car season swing. And this is important because it keeps the work of helping seniors of Brevard moving forward, and your support, which we greatly appreciate, literally is about half of our budget each year. So thank you in advance for helping us in the work of helping seniors. A couple other events I want to get to real quickly. This Friday, we have a whole series of events that you want to know about. We always meet up on the second Friday at Merritt Square Mall from 9 a.m. For the AARP Walk with the Doc. And once again, Lydia Rivera, who's a ARMP, leads the walk, and it's a fun, free time. Come out, get a T-shirt, get a pedometer, get healthy, and have fun. We're going to be out there. The Helping Seniors team is out there. We always love that opportunity to do exactly what the doctor tells us to do every time we get into the office, which is let's be more active and do more things. And then I'm going to suggest that you consider moving directly from Merritt Square Mall down to Joe's Senior Resource Center of Brevard. That's our office space that they gave us, a beautiful spot in the Omni Healthcare building, which is roughly right there. I always tell people it's a couple of blocks from the hospital. It's right there on South Apollo Boulevard. It's a 4-story building. They give us a big chunk of the second floor, and we call it, after our founder, Joe's Senior Resource Center of Brevard. So Vicki Moore and Kara Davis with Moore Insurance Solutions are doing a lunch and learn from 11 to 12:30. So it's your chance to have lunch and get some insight into all that mail that is probably hitting your mailbox about now from all these companies that want to serve you in the Medicare and Medicaid world for 2026. And you might as well talk to an independent agent who has no skin in any particular company's game except yours. They want to make sure that you get this right for whatever prescriptions, whatever doctors, whatever medical things you have. So it's a Medicare and Medicaid lunch and learn, 11 to 12:30 p.m. at Joe's Senior Resource Center. Now, this is RSVP only because they are counting out lunches and they need to make sure they prepare for those who are coming. So please call us at 321-473-7770. Again, it's free, but you do have to RSVP. I guess you could show up, but you're probably not going to have a lunch because they're going to plan for the RSVPers. So, but at 1 p.m., this is open to everybody. We are doing our second chapter of Senior Tech Talk right there at Joe's Senior Resource Center of Brevard. And Bree Prentice, who's our millennial instructor in this, is going to help us with mobile smartphone basics. So you're going to want to bring your phone, whether it's an iPhone type or an Android type, whatever the phone is, bring it with you. And we're going to go over the cell phone basics, which, you know, some of this seems pretty rudimentary, but I don't know. Every time I get a new cell phone, I have to learn how to turn it on, turn it off, put it on Do Not Disturb. How do I check my messages? How do I send texts? It's going to be the basics, and it runs from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Absolutely free. It's one of the services our community has asked us to do. And so we want to make sure seniors are getting as tech friendly as they can, because every time you call the doctor, they want to know if you checked in on the app, or if you call for your prescriptions, they want you to know if you found out if they're already available or been filled on your app. So learning this is important. Senior Tech Talk this Friday, 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Saturday, we are going to be at the Melbourne Auditorium from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We are at Brevard Recovery Fest. You may remember a week or two back, we were visiting with Laura McCarthy, the executive director. This is a fun, family-friendly, free event at the Melbourne Auditorium this Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And you will be able to, if you're one of the first 1,000 people, they've got free lunch set aside, but they have so much for you to see and do there. And it is truly family friendly. They're going to have, I think they're going to have flight simulators from our friends at Wings at Grace. I think the Brevard Sheriff's Office is going to have some driving simulators out there. There's all kinds of things to see and do. That's Brevard Recovery Fest, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Melbourne Auditorium. And then I myself am going to be back out at Abundant Life Church on Saturday afternoon. They've asked us to be part of a program that they're doing to help their seniors get ready. And so I'm going to share on the work of helping seniors. That's right here in Palm Bay, 910 Malabar Road at the Abundant Life Church of God. And that whole program goes on from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock on Saturday. So there are so many things that are coming up. I hope you grabbed a pencil to jot down a few of these. If you missed anything, it's not a problem. You can always call Karen or one of our great volunteers at 321-473-7770 and say, I heard them talking about this. And including that, I think they're going to have information on Solid Bite. They're going to have a grand opening, a celebration. Even though they're in the new facility, I think they're going to do some kind of a big fun thing here in October. And Karen or one of our team members will have information on that. So thank you for joining us for Helping Seniors Radio on today. That is about the time we have for the show. It's always a pleasure to see you right here on 90.3 FM WEJF, and we look forward to seeing you back here next week. I'm Kerry Fink. Have a great week till then.